Hello and welcome to part 2 of this video series about crystals that I'm going to be working with personally in 2021. So these videos are much shorter than my 1.5 hour long videos on crystals previously, I promise. I bloody hope so anyway. And today I'm going to be talking about the Phosphosiderite Crystal. And I will flip to some much better video footage of this during the video. But this is the Phosphosiderite stone. And obviously I've already worked with it up until this point to be able to make this video about, which I will elaborate on shortly. But if you don't know me, I'm Bianca Eleanor. I am a crystal transpersonal therapist and stone medicine practitioner. I have undergone in-person training and mentorship from Judy Hall and Philip Hermit. I have undergone countless online crystal healing certification courses to the point where I now am a crystal educator myself and run my own courses and workshops. I have worked with crystals for over 7 years. I've studied at the London College of Psychic Studies. I'm also a qualified crystal Reiki master, Rahani celestial healer. I hold the 9 rights of the Monarchy and am qualified in past life regression. I don't tend to offer things as separate services. I am a holistic therapist, and I will make another video about what that really means. And if you're interested in working with me, you can find out more information about my one-to-one sessions, which are both in person and online via distance healing, on my website, as well as more information on my online courses and my workshops, which hopefully we'll get back to doing more in person this year, fingers crossed. And you can find all the info at dakinicrystals.com. Anyway, let's talk about Phosphosiderite. I've been working closely with Phosphosiderite for about 4 or 5 months now, and its biggest gift to me, its biggest medicine to me, has been remembering, yes, it's hard, but it's necessary, especially when it comes to relationships. So its biggest help to me has been helping me to remove those relationships and those people that are no longer needed in my life. And I'm not going to lie, it's not been comfortable, not because I had an aversion to cutting those people out, just because it's not a comfortable thing to have to do. It's not easy. But ever since Phosphosiderite has woven its way into my reality, sometimes I just sit and think, if it's not near my person, in my bra, or close by, I think, what would Phosphosiderite have to say about this? So it's really good for pushing you to do that. So let's take a look at its mineral makeup. So it's basically phosphorus and iron. They're the main elements that are inside it. Surprise, surprise. So phosphorus is an essential nutrient for plants and animals. So it's used in fertilizers, but unfortunately it's projected and predicted, but come 80 years time we're going to just not have any left. But it's also part of our DNA. It's part of our DNA molecules and RNA molecules that store energy. So the primary role of RNA is to convert the information stored in DNA into proteins. Yeah, you know what proteins are. Proteins are essential for growth and repair and the maintenance of good health. So in metaphysical light, this would mean that phosphorus and phosphosiderite is here to help us become consciously aware of what's in our DNA, whether it's ancestral trauma or dormant abilities, and once healed, transmuted or awoken, they will help us grow and maintain a good holistic health. So those things that we need to heal, those things that we need to remember, those things that we need to practice, it's going to help us come to that resolution and into that being, shifting that into your actual reality. So when rocks high in phosphorus are exposed to water, the rock weathers out and turns into a solution. So basically it's another alchemical stone. It can turn into a mushy liquid form. So now let's look at the iron aspect. So people take iron supplements. Everyone knows that some of the health benefits are boosting immunity, decreasing fatigue, increasing energy levels, helping insomnia. It helps regulate body temperature, muscle function, and the synthesis of neurotransmitters. So stay with me and I'll pull this back together shortly. So neurotransmitters are chemical messengers that transmit a message from a nerve cell across the synapse to a target cell. The target can be another nerve cell or a muscle cell or a gland. They are chemicals made by the nerve cell specifically to transmit the message. So iron, classically known as the metal element, Mars element, has been universally perceived as a symbol of human strength, honor, courage, sharpness, confidence and power. So the iron aspect in this crystal is here to give us strength, emotional and spiritually as well as physically, but it also is going to help us feel less fatigued, because we're going to feel less drained by all of the emotional crap that weighs us down when we have those not quite perfect relationships in our lives, or those habits that we're choosing that are not for our highest good. So it helps us to become immune from all the BS, really. It helps us set boundaries with those who take advantage of us. So if it's this big iron warrior type content in it, how does it also give us a relaxed feeling? So if you were to look up on like Etsy and see a listing for a phosphosiderite tower, it would be like, oh, meditation and relaxing and la-di-da. So that aspect does not come from another mineral altogether. That actually is the iron as well, because iron is grounding. And so if you're full of panic and you can't sleep, insomnia, and you can't focus and you feel scattered, iron-rich minerals help us sink deep down into stillness. They pull all that energy that is scattered and frantic, and it pulls it back down. It gathers it at the root. When our root is fine, it can then travel around all of our energy systems, so we're not depleted in energy. So think about stones like hematite. It's grounding, it's heavy, it's like, think about that weighted blanket energy. So that's where the relaxation side of phosphosiderite comes in. Many have reported phosphosiderite to help in financial affairs, in goal setting. So it's that being ruthless type aspect, things that are good for you, things that aren't good for you, things that have to be done, need to be done. Phosphosiderite also lends us strength, but not in a pushy, like kind of carnelian tiger's eye kind of way. So it's strong but gentle in its delivery, not gentle in its energy, how it feels when you hold it. I wouldn't say. I'd say it's quite strong still. It's not like a mangano, calcite, celestite type energy. It's still strong, but its delivery in the way that it prompts you, it's kind of like a grandma or a Paddington bear giving you a hard stare. So it calls you to look after yourself a great deal. So it reminds you to self-nourish and prioritise self-care. And at the end of the day, it wants you to remove yourself from anything that's not good long-term for your well-being. And in this sense, it's very well balanced, as even though it's good for goal setting and personal power, it's equally reminding you can't give from an empty cup, and not to self-neglect. Most people neglect themselves in at least one area of life, and that's not sustainable, and there'll always be a puzzle piece missing. So for that reason, it's good to help you put those relationships to rest. It's good to help those that want to push closer to their goals. So it's good for any type of entrepreneurs, anyone who's that kind of minded, entrepreneurship minded. But it also is good for just your average person who is a loving, giving person who gives back too much and puts their own well-being on the back burner. So on a physical level, phosphosiderite can be used to help cell regeneration and can also help reprogram cells, especially if you use it in combination with a specific quartz, like a record keeper quartz. And the yellow spidery veins seen in most of the pieces, they're inclusions of cacoxenite, I hope I pronounced that right, and this is an iron aluminium phosphate mineral, which usually, but not always, occurs within other minerals. So it's not often that you can get that on its own. It usually grows within or on other minerals. So phosphosiderite is 3.5 to 4 on the Moss hardness scale. It's fairly soft and brittle, not overly, but if you're packing it, if you're transporting it, make sure it is well padded. Its crystal lattice system is monoclinic, prismatic. It's mined in the USA, in Portugal, Germany, Argentina and Chile. I've got no idea if this is a rule of thumb, but the pieces from Chile tend to be like a darker purple, because the phosphosiderite can range from like a light lavender to violet to like a really deep mauve colour. So energetically, I feel like phosphosiderite has quite a goddess archetype energy. So if you're looking to work with that, it could be quite good for that. Basically, phosphosiderite can be used to accelerate the first step of your personal evolution. So whether you're advanced along a self-development or spiritual path or not, it's building those foundations for you to move on with your life, to live your best life, basically. So in a summary, quickly, it's good for understanding your DNA and what is held in it. So step 1 of our journey of healing our ancestral line is detaching from projected stories and breaking karmic cycles. It's definitely one to help with that. It's good for letting go of those relationships that are not for your highest good at the moment, keeping you away from those negative cycles, people that are not on the same vibrational level as you, and ultimately, whether they do it consciously or not, they'll ultimately just sabotage or delay your personal evolution. It's good for setting boundaries for yourself in all areas, so it's relationships, goals, personal values, and expectations of yourself, and expectations with spirit as a co-creation type thing. It's good at remembering how to look after yourself on all levels, spiritual, mental, emotional. It's good for deep nourishment, so it's not just, this crystal reminds me that I need to take a spa day. It's good for helping us nourish long term, helping us to change those ways, those habits that are ingrained into us, so we can maintain all of the spiritual upgrades, you might say, that many of us are receiving at this time.